Janusz is a medical doctor and is scientific officer of a nutrition and innovation unit. And I spent probably the last 15 years of his professional life working on health claims made on food.
Yeah,
Janusz, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Pier Sandro. Good morning to all. So we will be talking about scientific evaluation of health claims, which is made by EFSA. I would start with the statement that nutritional and health claims on foods are a means used by industry to communicate health or functional benefits of foods to consumers. So they constitute one of a number of ways in which information on the nutritional attributes of food can be provided to consumers. So they constitute a valuable source of the information that can be transferred to consumers, and that's why it is attractive for industry. And nutrition and health claims are commonly used on food products labels to positively influence consumers' perception of the product and to persuade them to purchase foods with claims. And they are also informative for consumers, so they are also attractive for consumers as a valuable source of information on health-promoting foods. There are several definitions of claims related to foods. I provide you with the definition which is present in European regulation. So nutrition claim is any claim that states, suggests, or implies that a food has a particular nutrition property in relation to the energy, nutrients, and other substances it contains, in higher or in lower amounts, or not at all. Instead of it, health claim is any claim that states, suggests, or implies that a relationship exists between a food category, a food or one of its constituents, and health. On this table, we can see all nutritional claims which are permitted in the European Union. Currently, there are 30 nutrition claims permitted. So any food business operator can use a nutrition claim provided the conditions to make a claim are satisfied. And they are all outlined in details in the annex of the regulation. This system is easy to use for the industry. It is also clear for consumers, and it is used and it allows a possibility to be easily controlled by food safety control bodies. In fact, EFSA does have nothing to do with nutrition claims because this issue are clearly regulated. The other situation exists in relation to health claims. I will start with legislative background of health claims. So the main legislative regulation of fair claims is Regulation 1924. The regulation is supplemented with and extended by two specific Commission regulations establishing implementing rules for applications for authorization of health claims and regulation amending this former one. These legislative documents state that health claims should be only authorized for use in the community after a scientific assessment of the highest possible standard. So in order to ensure harmonized scientific assessment of these claims, EFSA carries such assessment. So EFSA is the only authoritative body in the European Union which makes an official assessment of health claims. Although there are some general function claims which were 12 years ago exempted for evaluation by EFSA. They are called the claims on hold, and they constitute so-called botanical claims. And the decision was made because all the parties realized that the evaluation of this kind of claims is not capable under the existing system. So still those botanical claims are assessed by particular member countries. What is the role of EFSA and the role of other European bodies in the assessment of health claims? So under the health claims evaluation scheme, EFSA is responsible to carry out scientific assessment, whereas European Commission is the official body which authorizes health claims. So EFSA advice forms the basis for authorization decisions by the Commission, but it's not binding to the Commission because the Commission may take some considerations in addition and take into consideration other issues, such as safety and policy issues. So, for example, whether the claim is in line with the nutrition policy when authorizing a health claim. The EFSA role is limited to scientific assessment only, and the decisions of authorization of health claims are the role of European Commission, together with member states and the European Parliament. And authorized health claims are published in the Register of Nutrition and Health Claims made on foods. The regulation lays down harmonized rules across the European Union for the use of health claims. The main objectives are to ensure claims are truthful and not misleading for consumers. The regulation establishes that health claims should be scientifically substantiated by general accepted scientific evidence, by taking into account the totality of the evidence of all available scientific data, and by weighting the evidence. And the question arises, what does it mean, generally accepted scientific evidence? And in the context of claims, such as it used in European Union, this is the scientific judgment is made by EFSA. It should be also noted that the aspects of safety assessment are not foreseen in the framework of regulations, so our opinions on health claims usually does not contain any safety issues. However, there are some cases in which the certain safety issues are really present, and in these cases, in the opinions, also these safety considerations are present. But these are really rare cases. What is the difference between health claims and medicinal claims? Because there are two different kinds of claims. So in Europe, claims on the prevention, treatment, or cure of a human disease are not allowed for foodstuffs, as these constitute medicinal claims, and medicinal claims are forbidden for food. So as a result, disease risk reduction claim cannot refer to a reduction of the risk of the disease, but it is possible to link the effect of the food to the reduction of a risk factor for the disease. And additionally, subjects with a disease cannot be the target population for claims made on foods. In practice, sometimes it is not easy to distinguish between those two kind of claims. Probably the most useful way to distinguish them is the wording used. So for claims, it is not possible that health claim related to foods refers to prevention, treatment, or cure of a human disease, or is intended for patients with a disease, because then it's related to treatment, and we cannot consider such a claim as a health claim related to nutrition. So, for example, we evaluated a claim related to lignin, which is, as you know, a form of dietary fiber, but the claimed effect was treatment of diarrhea. And of course, this is a kind of treatment, and this kind of claim, although it relates to nutrition, cannot be treated as a health claim related to nutrition, but it is treated as medicinal claim. There are three main points which are present in each of our opinion related to health claims, and this is characterization of the food, the description of beneficial physiological effect, and the evaluation of cause and effect relationship. Starting from the first point about characterization, so EFSA considers whether the information provided in relation to the food or constituent includes those characteristics which may influence the specific physiological effect for the basis of the claim. And such characteristics may depend on the nature of the food constituent, but also on the specific claimed effect. It may be necessary to distinguish between a specific constituent, a combination of constituents, or specific formulation. As it comes to beneficial physiological effect, EFSA makes a scientific judgment on whether the claimed effect is considered as a beneficial physiological effect, as described in the information provided by the applicant, and by taking into account the target population for which the claim is intended. So in principle, the target population of claims made on foods is the general population or the specific subgroup of general population. And the beneficial physiological effect relates to the maintenance, reduced loss, or improvement of a body function. EFSA considers whether the claimed effect refers to a specific body function. That means that those claims which are related to the general issues or not specific issues are excluded. EFSA also takes into account whether it is sufficiently defined for a scientific evaluation, and whether the effect which is claimed can be assessed in vivo in humans by general accepted methods. And the third point is cause and effect, evaluation of cause and effect relationship. So each relationship between a food and the claimed effect is assessed separately on case-by-case basis for specific claim application. So there is no generic rule for the assessment of health claims, although we can say that the central role in the assessment of health claims are pertinent human studies. So they are at the top of hierarchy of the studies, and the assessment of these studies have the main impact on the opinion. But there is no a pre-established rule how many studies should be prepared by and submitted by the applicant, and which kind of studies are needed to obtain a positive opinion. For EFSA, it is important, however, that the effect is reproduced by different studies coming from different scientific centers, and the findings are consistent. So findings are consistent within the studies and across the studies. And EFSA also takes into account the biological plausibility of the effect, which should be also considered. This slide shows some more detailed issues related to characterization of the food, which is the subject of health claim. So we can see that sometimes, and in most of the cases, the characterization of the food is based on the composition and characteristic of nutritional composition of the product. But there are also some other cases. So, for example, there is this case of water-soluble tomato concentrate, which consisted of 37 different constituents. And this product was standardized and characterized by manufacturing process. Sometimes it may be also characterized by a known mechanism of action. So, for example, this is the case of non-digestible carbohydrates, or there were also some other cases in which the food was and this was an extract from some herbal ingredients, which is called phaseolamine, and the postulated effect was blocking of lipase in the gut. So for this health claim, the blockage of lipase was the main point of characterization of the food. As it was said already, human data are central for the substantiation of the claim. So particular attention is focused on the design and quality of individual human studies. In considering whether the human studies are pertinent for a specific claim, EFSA addresses the following questions. Whether the studies have been carried out with the food for which the claim is made, whether appropriate outcome measures of the claimed effect was used, whether the design and quality of the studies is sufficient to provide evidence from which conclusions can be drawn for the scientific substantiation of the claim, whether the conditions under which the human studies are performed relate to the conditions of use, so the quantity of pattern of consumption of the food constituent. However, in this case, it can happen that the applicant proposes some conditions, some specific conditions of use, and they are modified in the final opinion made by EFSA. And lastly, whether the studies have been carried out in a study group that is representative for the population group for which the claim is intended. We've got also some examples for which the claims were not sufficiently defined, or the claims were treated by EFSA as non-beneficial. And you can see the examples of such claims. So generally, the claimed effect must be beneficial and measurable by generally accepted methods, such as analytical tests and validated questionnaires. So for the example of well-constructed health claims is reduction of LDL cholesterol or frequency of bowel movement. And these examples, which are visible on the slide, are treated as non-defined or not beneficial claims. So those kind of claims are not considered by EFSA. It should be also noted that not all changes constitute a direct benefit on human physiology. So the claimed which is obtained by the food should be beneficial physiological effect. And as it was already said, for function claims, they should relate to maintenance or improvement of a body function. For reduction of disease risk claims, the effect should refer to reduction or beneficial alteration of a risk factor for the development of specific human disease. And of course, in many cases, there is a problem with identification of the risk factor. There is no problem for several issues. For example, we all know that the high level of LDL cholesterol is related to higher risk of ischemic blood disease. However, in relation to several other risk factors, the situation is not very clear. So the decision is made by EFSA in case-by-case basis. So just to give you some examples.
Janusz,
Yeah,
you have 5 minutes.
yeah, fine. I know. So for dental caries, only claims on foods which have shown to reduce both dental caries and dental plaque were considered. And the other example, changes in composition of gut microbiota, for example, increase in bifidobacterium content in the lumen is not per se treated as confidential because it should be related to health, to the exact health beneficial effect. Yes, this is the slide which shows that again, studies which were performed in the diseased people usually cannot be extrapolated to the general population, although there are several derogations. So for example, for claims on reducing gastrointestinal discomfort, EFSA accepts the evidence from patients with irritable bowel syndrome because it was considered that the mechanism of decreasing the symptoms in the populations of patients with irritable bowel syndrome are the same as for symptoms in the normal general population. Sometimes the applicants say, okay, that our study was published in a good journal, so it should be automatically accepted by EFSA. This is not exactly the true because the aim of the publication is different. The statistical analyses which were provided for the publication may be inappropriate in relation to the outcome for the claim. So this is not automatically treated by EFSA. Yeah, I will skip this. There is also another issue because health claims are verified not only by EFSA but also by different bodies in different parts of the world. So some applicants say that okay, it was approved in Japan or in Australia, so it should be approved also in Europe. This is also not true for all the cases because the legislative basis for treatment of the evaluation of claims is different in different parts of the world. So you will have tomorrow a presentation of evaluation on health claims in New Zealand, and you will probably see that there are some differences between New Zealand and Europe. Coming to the end, EFSA issued some guidance documents on health claims. You can see a slide showing that there was some general guidance for stakeholders and 6 specific guidance related to gut function, cardiovascular disease, body weight, and carbohydrates metabolism, physical performance, brain and mental, and joints and bone. These documents can be studied by the applicants just to just to provide and submit a properly constructed applications. So these are some examples of positive opinion, some examples of negative opinion, but I go to the last slide. When you can see the situation for health claims as it was in June this year. So you can see that there is a huge amount of adopted opinions on health claims. And unfortunately, the majority of the assessment of health claims end with a negative opinion. However, there are also a quite number of opinions with positive opinion from EFSA, and they relate to a range of body functions and a range of diseases. Thank you.